Hello everyone, this is Savita Sunkara, and in our previous video we learned how to build a generic audit framework to track every ETL execution from start to finish. But here another important production scenario is: imagine your ETL job is processing 100 million records, and after successfully loading 80 million records, the database suddenly goes down. The network connection is lost or the packages fail. Then what will you do? Or will you restart the entire job and process all 100 million records again? Or can you recover only the failed batch? That's exactly what we will discuss in today's SQL interview question. So the question will be: how would you design a generic error handling and retry framework for ETL? Let's understand this step by step. So let's begin with a real production example. Suppose an ETL job is processing 100 million records, right? Everything works fine until 80 million records are loaded successfully. Suddenly, one of these problems occurs, like network failures, database timeout, and disk space issue, then SSIS package failure. Now imagine restarting the complete ETL job from the beginning. That means processing another 100 million records even though 80 million were already loaded successfully. This wastes server resources and increases execution time and creates duplicate data risk and delays business reports. So instead, a well designed ETL framework should identify exactly where the failure happened and continue only from that point. So, that is the main objective of a generic error handling and retry framework. So, now let's see how the framework is designed. Whenever any ETL step starts, the framework continuously monitors the execution. If an error occurs, it immediately captures all important details such as run ID, batch ID, step name, error code, error message, timestamp, and retry count. So all this information is stored in dedicated error tables. So next, the retry engine checks the configuration. It verifies maximum retry count and wait time and retry type and notification settings. If retries are still available, the framework waits for the configured time and retries automatically. If the retry limit is exceeded, the batch is marked as failed and the support team is notified immediately. Everything is driven through configuration, so no code changes are required. Then now let's understand how the recovery process works. So the ETL job begins processing normally. If everything is successful, processing continues to the next batch. But if an error occurs, the framework logs the error immediately. It then checks the configured retry count. If retries are available, the framework waits for the configured interval and retries only the fail step or fail batch. So there is no need to process already completed batches again. So if the retry succeeded, then processing continues from the next batch. If all retry attempts fail, the batch is marked as failed and notifications are sent and the audit tables are updated. So this resume capability is one of the biggest advantages of enterprise ETL frameworks. Now let's discuss different retry strategies used in production. So not every error should be handled in the same way. For temporary issues like network interruptions or database timeouts, we can retry the fail step automatically. For complete batch failures, we retry only the fail batch instead of the entire ETL job. So for data quality issues, only the affected records are retried after correction. Then the large ETL jobs usually use incremental retry, so which resumes from the last successful batch. So many organizations also implement exponential backoff. For example, first retry after 2 minutes, then second retry after 4 minutes, then third retry after 8 minutes. So this prevents unnecessary load on the database while it is recovering. Finally, if the maximum retry limit is reached, the framework stops retrying, marks the batch as failed, and immediately sends alert to the support team. So these strategies improve system stability and reduce manual interventions. So now let's see how can you answer this question in an interview. So you can say, in my projects, I design a generic error handling and retry framework that automatically captures all execution errors into dedicated error tables along with run ID, batch ID, error code, retry count and timestamps. Then the framework is completely configuration driven, allowing retry count, wait time and retry strategy to be managed without code changes. Whenever an error occurs, the framework retries only the failed step or failed batch instead of restarting the complete ETL process. So it also supports incremental recovery, failed batch tracking, audit logging, and automatic email notifications. So this approach minimizes downtime, avoids duplicate processing, reduces manual interventions, and ensure reliable recovery of large-scale ETL jobs in production environments. So this type of answer demonstrates not only SQL knowledge but also real production support experience. So which is exactly what interviewers look for in senior SQL developers, ETL developers and data engineers. So thanks for watching. If you are preparing for SQL interviews with real world production scenarios, follow this series for more advanced SQL interview questions and practical ETL framework concepts. The next topic will continue building a complete enterprise grade ETL architecture. Thank you.